Greetings, friends. My name is Carson Barlow, and welcome to Humanity 3.0. Today I'd like to talk about emotional maturity. While there's a ton of things I'd like to talk about on this topic, I only really have time to touch on just a few things. Now, before I dive into this, I really want to get some of my fundamentals down first. So the first thing that I really think is important for us to understand is that there aren't any really bad emotions. While fear, anger, hate, and despair can often lead to undesirable results, and be unpleasant to experience and be around for that matter, there still are uses for them. After all, why else would we have the tendency to experience these emotions? They must somehow have a purpose. Fear, for example, is an effective means of avoiding harm coming your way. Ever intentionally try to put your hand in a fire? You just can't do it. So if you look at anger, you'll notice that it has a way of driving us towards action. And hate? Well, hate is a very useful way to help us eliminate threats. Well, despair is a little bit of a tricky one, and I want to save that for another video. Now, of course, I'd like to acknowledge that a lot of these emotions are really unpleasant to experience, and in a lot of ways, they can be very counterproductive. I tend to take personal issue with them when they start getting in the way of constructive disagreement etiquette. But if we can take a step back and think of emotions as tools, then we can understand that they have their uses and they also have their misuses. So when it comes to fear, anger, hate, and despair, I don't think you really need me to go through all the negative effects of misusing these things. I'm pretty sure you know how harmful they can be to yourself and others. Instead, I'd like to share some of my own personal experiences with you. I'm going to get a little bit personal here, I hope you don't mind. 10 years ago from this last March, I had gotten married. And for reasons I won't go into, it didn't work out, and I filed for divorce about 1.5 years ago. Needless to say, it's been a rather complicated issue, and it's taken me quite some time for me to parse my own emotions. At first, I had a lot of anger and resentment in my heart. I think even harder than dealing with my anger was admitting to myself that I still loved my ex. As I'm sure you can imagine, this could be a rather difficult thing for someone to accept after initiating a divorce. Now, I still feel like I made the right decision, because like I mentioned, it was a rather complicated situation. So anyway, last March was supposed to be our 10-year anniversary. And on that day, I just had to take that day and be sad. Yes, it was my decision to end our marriage. Yes, I still believe it's the right thing to do. But yes, I could still allow myself to be sad about this. Because allowing myself to be sad helped me to process a lot of these things that would have otherwise been harder to do. It also allowed me to honor the dreams and expectations that I had for my younger self. It was an opportunity for me to tell myself, you know, I know you wanted to have been happily married and do something big for your 10-year anniversary. And well, I'm sorry that you didn't get to do that. I guess while I'm knee-deep in this topic, I might as well tell you something that I didn't handle quite so well emotionally. Back when I had a lot of anger and resentment pent up, it felt great to listen to some Linkin Park. Now I'm talking old school Linkin Park. That initial time that I listened to it felt so good because my psyche was in such desperate need of that expression. But then I made the mistake of trying to chase after that satisfaction. So I listened to the album over and over again, singing and shouting right along. But this ended up overstimulating my anger responses. And in a lot of ways, it added undue stress to my divorce process. Since then, I've learned my lesson. So not too long ago, I found myself getting really frustrated at something, and I was having a hard time really processing it. So I flipped on that album and rocked out to it until I felt emotionally vindicated and expressed. Then I just turned it off. And I stayed there, soaking in that anger and frustration. And I was actually able to discover a lot about what was upsetting me that day. Once I had taken enough time for that, I then started playing some different music that allowed me to start calming myself down and bringing myself to a more peaceful state of mind. I don't know if much of anything I said was helpful or if it was just me venting. Again, I sure hope you got something out of it. Other than my life can be a hot mess sometimes. Stay classy.